You ever walk into a room and feel like you don't exist? Eyes skim past you. Conversations continue without pause. You're present, but invisible. Your voice, muted before it even leaves your lips. You wonder, why do they see everyone, except me? That's not just social anxiety. That's fear, the quiet assassin of potential. And it's stealing your power while you stand still. But what if I told you, being overshadowed isn't a curse, it's a choice? A choice you make every time you let fear speak louder than your actions. Today we're going to rip the mask off fear and expose its weakness, using the brutal, calculated mind of Niccolò Machiavelli. This isn't some soft talk on believing in yourself. This is war, and Machiavelli didn't believe in hope. He believed in strategy, cold, smart, ruthless. So if you've ever felt overlooked, talked over, or ignored, this video is your battlefield. And these 5 lessons, they're your weapons. By the end, you won't just feel confident, you'll command attention, you'll own the space, you'll move like a force people can't ignore. Because fear only has one real enemy, bold action. And Machiavelli, he mastered it centuries ago. So get ready, because today, you stop being the background character in your own life. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Strike first, fear later. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt that moment of hesitation, standing at the edge of an opportunity, your heart racing, palms sweaty, stomach tightening? And instead of leaping forward, you froze? That hesitation, that split second where you didn't speak, didn't move, didn't act, that's fear. Winning. But Machiavelli, the master of power and manipulation, would never let fear dictate the first move. His strategy was simple. Whoever strikes first controls the game. He who hesitates gives power to others. You see, fear isn't just an emotion, it's a tactic used by the world to keep you small, silent, and obedient. Every time you wait, you surrender the throne. Imagine this. You're at a networking event. You see someone you admire. You want to introduce yourself, ask a question, start a connection. But fear whispers, what if they think you're weird? What if you say the wrong thing? What if you're not enough? And so you freeze. But what if you did the opposite? What if, like Machiavelli, you moved before fear spoke? What if you walked straight into the moment and claimed it? That's what we mean by strike first, fear later. The psychology of the first move. Here's what most people don't realize. Fear doesn't grow when you act. It grows when you pause. The longer you wait, the louder fear becomes. It stacks what-ifs like bricks, building a wall between you and your moment. But when you move first, say hello, ask the question, take the chance, you destroy that wall before it's even built. This is why taking the first action is so powerful. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to happen before your mind has time to sabotage you. You've heard the phrase, feel the fear and do it anyway. Machiavelli would laugh. He'd say, feel the fear and go faster. Real power is proactive, not reactive. Think of a battlefield. The army that waits, that reacts, loses. But the army that strikes first, that chooses the terrain, that sets the tempo, that army wins. You can apply the same principle in your life. Whether it's talking to your boss, starting a conversation with someone new, launching your idea, or finally standing up for yourself. If you wait for the right moment, it'll never come, because fear hides in that wait. But when you act first, when you go bold before the fear gets loud, everything shifts. Your brain stops overthinking. Your energy rises, and people respect you more. Yes, it's risky, but guess what? So is staying invisible. Science agrees. Action beats anxiety. Research in psychology and neuroscience proves this. When you take immediate action, even something small, it shuts down the overactive fear centers in your brain. Your mind switches from survival mode to engagement mode. Your confidence builds not from thinking, but from doing. Machiavelli would call this turning threat into opportunity. because every moment you fear is actually a throne waiting to be claimed. Try this, the first strike rule. Here's how you apply this today or in the real world. The next time you feel that familiar pressure in your chest, strike first. Say one thing, do one action, move one step forward before fear traps you. Examples. At work, say, "Can I add something?" before the voice in your head tells you not to. At an event, walk up and say, "Hi, I'm your name. What brings you here?" On social media, post your thoughts before you convince yourself nobody cares. You don't need the perfect words. You need presence, because presence is louder than perfection. A story, the 6-second rule that changed a life. I once met a guy, quiet, shy, brilliant. We were at a conference. He wanted to talk to a high-profile entrepreneur but kept pacing, doubting, stalling. I told him, "You've got 6 seconds." He took a breath, walked up, and simply said, "I admire your work. What's the one thing you wish someone told you when you started?" That was it. The entrepreneur paused, smiled, and they talked for 15 minutes. He got a mentor, a job lead, and a confidence shift that changed his trajectory. All because he moved before fear had time to lie to him. Final thought for this lesson. Every single time you take action before fear speaks, you teach yourself something important. I am the one in control. And once you believe that, once you see it work, fear begins to shrink. Because fear is a fraud. It only wins when you give it time. Machiavelli didn't wait for permission. He didn't ask for approval. He struck first and shaped the world around him. So the next time you feel fear rising, remember, you're not the same as before. You don't wait, you move. Lesson 2, build a fortress of confidence. You survived the first attack. You struck before fear could whisper lies into your mind, and something shifted. But let's be honest, confidence isn't built in one moment. One bold move doesn't erase a lifetime of self-doubt. One conversation doesn't cancel the voices in your head that say, "You're not enough." So what now? You build something stronger than fear. You build a fortress. Your mind is the castle. Guard it like a king. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must have a stronghold, a place of safety, a fortress that even the worst enemies cannot breach. But what if your enemies aren't outside? What if the enemy lives in your own head? That voice that says, "You're not smart enough. You're not attractive enough. You're not ready." That voice isn't real. It's fear disguised as your inner dialogue. And every time you agree with it, you give it bricks to build a prison inside your own mind. But you weren't born to be caged. You were born to rule. So today we build your fortress, brick by brick. Brick 1, your inner voice. Let's start with the loudest weapon fear uses against you, your self-talk. Most people don't realize this, but the words you whisper to yourself shape your identity. You say, "I'm not good in social settings. I always mess up under pressure. I'm just not confident." That's not humility, that's programming. Your brain believes what it hears, especially if it's repeated. So if fear's been your narrator, it's time to fire him. Replace him with a king. Every morning before the world can speak, you speak to yourself first. Look in the mirror and say, "I command today. I'm here to dominate, not hesitate. I don't chase confidence, I build it." You don't need to believe it at first. Say it enough, and you will. Science calls this neural priming. Machiavelli called it strategic preparation. I call it mental armor. Brick 2, visual victory. Let's go deeper. Before a battle, generals don't just hope. They plan, they visualize. They imagine every step before the fight begins. You must do the same. Before a job interview, a first date, or a big speech, close your eyes. Now picture this. You walk in, head high, calm breath. You speak, voice steady, words sharp. The room leans in. They respect you. You leave, victorious. That's not fantasy, that's rehearsal. Studies show that visualizing success actually creates new pathways in your brain, the same ones used when you actually succeed. It's not delusion, it's practice. Machiavelli would smile and say, A wise ruler wins the war before stepping onto the battlefield. Brick 3, stack small, wins daily. Here's where most people fail. They think confidence comes from one huge moment. One big speech, one viral post, one life-changing decision. But real confidence, it's a compound effect. It's built from small daily victories that stack silently until you become undeniable. So start small. Compliment a stranger. Share your opinion in a meeting. Speak up once today, even if your voice shakes. These tiny wins are your bricks. Each one says, I can do this. I'm not who I used to be. Fear doesn't get to decide anymore. You won't feel a massive shift in one day, but in a week, you'll feel lighter. In a month, you'll feel stronger. In 6 months, you'll walk differently. Not because fear disappeared, but because your fortress got too strong for it to enter. A story from anxious to unstoppable. I knew a guy, introverted, anxious, always hiding behind his phone, but he decided to run a personal experiment. One small act of boldness every day for 30 days. Day 1, he said hi to a cashier and asked how their day was. Day 7, he introduced himself at a local workshop. Day 15, he gave a 60-second talk in front of 10 people. Day 30, he led a full presentation in front of 40 strangers. Not flawless, not fearless, but unbreakable. That's what small wins do. They rewrite your brain. They say, I've done hard things before. I can do this too. Stop chasing confidence. Start building it. Here's the hard truth Machiavelli would tell you. Confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build, and you build it through discipline, repetition, and belief. It's not about being loud or flashy. It's about being rooted so deeply in your purpose that nothing shakes you. When fear knocks, you don't tremble. You open the door and say, you're not welcome here. That's your fortress, not built in a day, but built with every moment you choose power over panic. Fortress checklist. Build yours today. Start your day with self-talk like a king. Say something bold before the world speaks first. Visualize your victory before every challenge. Picture it in detail. Make success your new normal. Stack one small win every day. Doesn't have to be big. Just bold enough to make you proud. Final thought for this lesson. You are not fragile. You are a fortress. Under construction. The world will test you. Fear will knock. Doubt will try to sneak in. But you're no longer a scared soldier hoping to survive. You are the ruler of your mind. And rulers don't beg for confidence. They build it. Lesson 3. Dominate the inner narrative before they do. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever walked into a room and lost the battle before you even opened your mouth? No one said a word. No one's judged you. But inside your head, you're already spiraling. They're looking at me weird. They probably think I don't belong here. What if I mess up? I shouldn't have come. Sound familiar? That's not fear of judgment. That's self-sabotage. And it's the deadliest weapon fear uses. It convinces you to fight yourself before the world ever has to lift a finger. Machiavelli's law, control the narrative or be controlled. Machiavelli understood one thing better than anyone. Perception is power, and whoever frames the story controls the outcome. Before kings won on the battlefield, they won in the minds of the people. Before generals declared war, they declared truths, even if they were lies. Because control over the narrative meant control over reality. And you must do the same. Because before the world can judge you, you already judged yourself. And the verdict? I'm not enough. That has to end. Today. The real war is not external. It's mental. Here's the truth. Most people live their lives responding to a story that was never theirs. Maybe your parents told you you were too shy. Maybe someone once laughed when you tried to speak. Maybe you were overlooked in school, ignored at work, rejected in love, and somewhere along the way, you started to believe it. So now, before anyone says anything, you echo that old script in your head. You say, I'm awkward. I always mess up under pressure. I'm not the kind of person who speaks up. But none of that is fact. That's not reality. That's programming. And You're not a robot. You're the author now. Flip the script before the world writes it for you. The way out isn't to think positively. It's to take authority over your inner voice. Before anyone else speaks, you speak first. They're not judging me. They're curious about me. I don't need to prove myself. I already belong here. They're quiet because I command attention, not because I'm unworthy. You're not lying to yourself. You're reclaiming the pen, because the story in your mind becomes the story in your life. The mindset loop, how fear takes over and how to break it. Let's break it down. Trigger. You enter a room, a call, a situation. Fear speaks. You start the what-if spiral. You believe it, your body tightens, your energy shrinks. You act small, quiet, hesitant, avoidant. Others respond. They mirror your hesitation. Fear is confirmed. See, I was right to be afraid. That's the fear loop, and you've probably been stuck in it for years. But here's how to destroy it. Start with the thought, not the action. Because once you change the narrative, your body, voice, and presence will follow. Try this, the 3-step inner domination tactic. Step 1, catch the thought. When you feel that inner doubt rising, pause. Don't run from it. Spot it. Say, there it is. Fear trying to write my story again. Step 2, confront it like a king. Now answer back, then clearly and firmly. Use language of power, not permission. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to lead. They're lucky to hear me, not the other way around. I don't need their approval. I walk with purpose. Say it out loud if you have to. Whisper it in the mirror. Own it. Step 3, enter with energy that matches your new script. Straighten your spine. Breathe deep. Make eye contact. Walk in slow. Because once you act in alignment with your new narrative, the old one dies. That's how you dominate your own mind, before anyone else can. A story, from silent to savage. There was a woman I once coached. Brilliant, talented, yet painfully reserved. Every time she had to speak in meetings, she'd freeze. She'd overthink, whisper, cut herself off. She wasn't judged, but in her mind, she was already on trial every time. Until one day I asked her, "Whose voice are you hearing when you doubt yourself?" She paused and whispered, "My dad." Turns out her father used to mock her ideas, tell her she was too emotional, too dramatic, too much. She carried that voice into every room, every meeting, every relationship. So I gave her a challenge. Before the next meeting, write her own script and say it aloud. She wrote, "I speak with impact. My words carry weight. They will hear me because I have value." That week she spoke up, twice. The next week, she led the meeting. Confidence didn't come from silence. It came from a new narrative, and yours will too. Final thought for this lesson. You've been living inside a story written by fear, by pain, by the past. But that story is not your future. You get to write it now. Every time fear speaks, you have a choice. Echo it or erase it. Machiavelli wouldn't beg for validation. He'd frame the entire story before anyone else could speak. And now so will you. You're not a background character. You're the narrator, the main event, the undeniable presence. So the next time fear says, "What if they don't accept me?" you answer, "What if they don't matter?" Because the story of your power starts when you start telling it. Lesson 4, command the room with ruthless presence. Let me be blunt with you. People don't follow the smartest person in the room. They follow the person who looks like they own it. You could have the best ideas, the sharpest mind, the purest heart. But if your energy whispers, "I don't belong here," they'll believe you. And worse, you'll start to believe it too. Because here's the brutal truth. In the game of power, perception is reality. And if you want to destroy fear once and for all, you need more than belief. You need presence. The kind of presence that enters the room before you speak. The kind that doesn't beg to be noticed. It demands it. That's not arrogance. That's strategy. And no one understood it better than Niccolò Machiavelli. Machiavelli's secret, power doesn't ask. It takes. Machiavelli believed that influence is not given to the meek. It's seized by those bold enough to claim it. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But let's be clear, he wasn't talking about scaring people. He was talking about commanding respect before a single word left your mouth. And how do you do that? You master your presence, not just how you talk, but how you stand, how you walk, how you exist. Because your body broadcasts your confidence or your fear before you even open your mouth. So the question is, what are you broadcasting? The body-mind feedback loop. You can trick your brain into confidence. Harvard research by social psychologist Amy Cuddy shows that your body posture directly influences your hormone levels and confidence. Stand small, slouched, avoiding eye contact. You release more cortisol, the stress hormone. Stand tall, take up space, breathe slowly. You increase testosterone, the confidence hormone. In other words, you don't need to feel confident to look powerful. You just need to act confident, and your brain will follow. This is your cheat code, and Machiavelli would call it tactical illusion. Try this, the power pose ritual. Before you step into any room, do this in private, even for just 60 seconds. Stand tall, shoulders back, spine straight. Spread your arms or place them firmly on your hips like a warrior. Lift your chin slightly and breathe deeply. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Visualize your presence filling the room. Then say to yourself, I don't walk in, I arrive. This is your ritual of readiness. It flips the switch from reactive to dominant. Because presence doesn't start in the room, it starts in your mind and radiates outward. When you speak, speak like a king. Once you enter the room, or the Zoom, or the interview, or the date, your energy speaks louder than your words. Here's how to own the space. Eye contact. Don't stare. Don't look away. Lock in, then gently shift. Look like someone who knows people are watching and doesn't flinch. Slow movements. Don't fidget. Move with intent. Every gesture is a statement. Voice control. Speak 10% slower and 15% louder than feels natural. Use pauses. Let silence do some of the talking. Open body language, no crossed arms. Palms visible when you speak. Take up space. That's what powerful people do. They don't shrink. Command the flow. Ask the first question. Introduce someone. Make a comment early. You're not a passenger. You're at the wheel. Real-world application. Change the energy, change the room. I remember watching a guy walk into a high-level business roundtable. No fancy suit, no flashy intro. But the moment he stepped in, the air changed. He wasn't loud. He didn't try to impress, but he stood straight, spoke slow, looked everyone in the eye, didn't apologize for his ideas, didn't over-explain, just delivered, clear and clean. By the end of that meeting, people were quoting him, not because he had more knowledge, but because he had presence. That's the kind of dominance Machiavelli wrote about. The kind that makes people lean in without knowing why. Mistakes that kill your presence and how to fix them. Let's talk about what not to do and how to fix it fast. Fearful habit. What it signals. Fix it with slouching or hunching. Weakness, insecurity, stand tall, chest open, talking too fast. Nervous energy, breathe deep, slow down, avoiding eye contact, lack of confidence. 3-second rule. Lock eyes, then gently look away. Fidgeting, hands, feet. Anxiety, anchor hands gently on table or lap. Over-explaining, harsh, apologizing. Seeking approval, be direct. Less is more. Own your words. Bonus move, use strategic silence. Want to really shake the room? Pause, seriously. When someone asks you something, don't jump to respond. Take 2 seconds. Breathe, then speak. That pause, it tells people, I'm not rushing, I'm in control. And people listen harder to those who don't fight to be heard. Final thought for this lesson, you don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to be the best dressed, the loudest, or the most charismatic. You just need to show up like you've already earned the room. Because here's what Machiavelli would tell you. Appearances are power, and power, once claimed, does not apologize. So stop trying to blend in. You weren't born to disappear. You were born to be seen, to walk into any room and make the air shift. That's presence. That's power. That's how kings move. Lesson 5. Exploit the weakness of fear. Up to now, we've been battling fear, dodging its blows, dismantling its grip. But Machiavelli wouldn't stop at survival. He'd go further. He'd say, don't just defeat your enemy, use them. So now that fear has exposed itself, it's time to exploit it, to flip the entire script and make fear work for you. Because here's the truth. Fear is not a wall. Fear is a mirror. And what it reflects is your greatest opportunity for growth, power, and domination. Step 1. Expose the lie. Fear isn't truth. Let's start here. Fear will tell you, you're not ready. They'll laugh at you. This will fail. But take a second. Ask yourself honestly, has fear ever predicted the future accurately? No. Most of the time it exaggerates. It lies. It shows you a worst-case scenario that never actually happens. That's fear's weakness. It's all smoke, no substance. So the next time fear speaks, do this. Say its name, out loud. Call out the lie. Say, this is just anxiety, not a prophecy. This is just self-doubt, not destiny. This is just discomfort, not danger. Psychologists call this labeling the emotion, and it cuts fear's power in half. Machiavelli would call it revealing the enemy's disguise. Once you see fear clearly, it has no weapon. Step 2. Find the opportunity behind the fear. Here's the shift. When fear shows up, don't run. Chase it. Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Not vague. Be specific. Is it rejection? Embarrassment? Being judged? Failing publicly? Now go deeper. Ask, why does that scare me? Often the answer will expose something precious, your deepest desire. You fear rejection because you crave connection. You fear failure because you care about your craft. You fear judgment because you want to be respected. Boom. Now you've flipped fear into a map, showing you where your energy should go. Fear doesn't block the path. Fear is the path. Step 3. Use humor or logic to disarm it. Now it's time to strike. Fear thrives in silence and shame. So you need to speak its language and then flip it. You've got 2 powerful weapons. 1. Logic. Ask, what's the worst that happens if I try and fail? Play it out. You ask a question and someone doesn't answer the way you hoped. You pitch an idea and it gets rejected. You post something and no one responds. So what? You survive. You learn. You try again. Sharper, bolder, stronger. Fear hates logic because it can't win against it. 2. Humor. Fear can't swim in laughter. Make fun of it. I knew a guy terrified of speaking at meetings. He started walking in and saying, all right, my voice might crack, I might sweat, but I promise I'm not about to faint. People laughed. He relaxed. And fear, it vanished. Self-aware confidence diffuses tension, both inside and out. Try it. A story. Fear versus a 12-second decision. There was a young woman terrified of public speaking. Her voice shook, her legs wobbled, and her heart nearly beat out of her chest. One day she was asked to introduce herself in front of a crowd. Just 12 seconds. Everything in her body screamed, run. But instead she said to herself, what's the worst that happens? I mess up? They forget in 5 minutes. She stood up, spoke her name, and cracked a joke about her nerves. The room applauded. Not because she was polished, but because she was real. And she did it anyway. From that day forward, she used fear as her green light. If it scared her, she chased it. And her life, it exploded with opportunity. That's the secret. Fear is a compass, not a stop sign. Step 4. Let fear sharpen. You Machiavelli wouldn't fear failure. He'd use it. Fear can be fuel, but only if you face it. Every time it shows up, ask, what skill can I sharpen right now? How is this fear exposing a weakness I can eliminate? How can I use this pressure to become unbreakable? Fear makes you sweat. Good. Now train harder. Fear makes your heart race. Perfect. Now breathe deeper. Fear makes you feel exposed. Great. Now own the moment anyway. Pressure reveals character, and yours is being forged in fire. One final tactic, the fear flip. Write this down. Tape it to your mirror. Memorize it. If it scares me, it's calling me. Fear is not here to stop you. It's here to point you toward your next level. If a conversation scares you, have it. If a decision scares you, lean into it. If an opportunity scares you, say yes. That's where growth lives. That's where confidence lives. And that's where the old you dies and the powerful you rises. Final thought for this lesson. Fear only wins when it stays hidden. But you're not hiding anymore. You've studied it, exposed it, spoken its name, and now you own it. Machiavelli wouldn't just survive fear. He'd use it as a tool, a mirror, and a weapon. And now, so do you. You're not a slave to fear, you're its commander. Final call to action, rule or be ruled. Let's take a moment. You started this journey because something inside you whispered, I'm tired of being overlooked, of being afraid, of playing small. You felt that knot in your stomach, that sting when your voice shakes, that shame when you let a moment pass, because fear told you it wasn't yours to take. But now, you're not the same. You've learned the 5 ruthless lessons Machiavelli would have drilled into your soul. Strike first, fear later. Because hesitation is surrender. Build a fortress of confidence. Because real power is trained, not wished for. Dominate the inner narrative. Because the war is won in your head before your mouth ever opens. Command the room with presence. Because you're not here to blend in. You're here to be undeniable. Exploit the weakness of fear. Because fear isn't your enemy, it's your fuel. Let that sink in. You now have the blueprint, the mindset, the strategy.